This week's episode of the Inside Running Podcast is proudly sponsored by On. Cushioning or performance? Why not take both? The Cloud Stratus 3 evolves a legend with an updated speedboard, even softer cushioning and innovative new design features, with all this added to double CloudTech cushioning to double the comfort without slowing you down. Visit on.com or your specialty running retail store to grab your pair today. Welcome to episode number 301 of the Inside Running Podcast. Thanks for joining us for another week. Some big news coming at you this week. The Australian team got named today, so we'll talk about who's on that. We've got a special guest who's going to be joining us any second now. We've got some race recaps. Moose was in action again over in Ballarat 15K. All the usual segments that you come to expect every week on the Inside Running Podcast. Welcome to my co-host. He was meant to be on the operating table today down in Melbourne, but he's not. Welcome, Bradley Croker. What's going on?
Thanks, Brady. Yep, I'm still in Canberra. Never got to Melbourne. Got a phone call on Wednesday with bad news saying that my surgery had been cancelled. And, yeah, I guess the disappointing thing was that they couldn't give me a new date. So just playing the waiting game now for them to reach out and say, you've got surgery on this date. So, yeah, it was a bit of a shock because Viv's parents, they were like holidaying, like they were caravanning around like North Queensland, and they weren't due back until like late September, and they came back to look after the kids. Viv originally cancelled a Hens weekend down in Melbourne, but she was able to rebook everything, so she flew down to Melbourne for the weekend, which was good that she could still do that. But yeah, that's pretty much what happened. So I don't know when I'm having surgery now. Okay,
but you're here with us tonight. We do have a replacement for you, but it's okay because we have an extra bonus person, 4 people on the show this week. My other co-host, Julian Spence, throwing down big marathon work again yesterday down in Ballarat. Welcome to you this week.
Thank you.
Sydney's getting closer, Moose.
And it's real close, actually. 6 weeks. I reckon if I was in a previous build, it would have felt like the race was just rushing forward, and I would have had like a mountain of marathon work behind me. But I feel like I've only just started, and I feel like there's still a long way to go, just because I haven't hit the meat of it yet.
And you're already in 2:17 shape. You haven't even started.
Your words, not mine, Brad.
Your words on Strava.
We'll get to that when we start talking about some numbers.
Actually, not my words on Strava.
Hang on, just settle down.
I'm quite happy to debate this. I've already had about 15 arguments about it.
We've had a few DMs about it as well, actually, into the inbox. Some big name
people. Very close to you, Moose.
Yeah, some big names writing in. Anyway, I want to introduce you to our co-host, our special guest co-host tonight. This week's guest on the Inside Running Podcast is an Olympian and a 2-time World Championship representative. He is the current Australian 3,000 metre steeplechase champion and the 4th fastest Australian of all time in that event. He is one of our longest Patreon supporters, according to Croaks. He joined in May 2018, so a massive thanks for that. He's part of the Oceania-based On Athletics Club. Welcome back to the Inside Running Podcast. Ben Buckingham, joining us from Switzerland, I think.
Gentlemen, Brady, Moose,
hey Ben,
Brad, glad to be here, and glad to not replacing Brad, but glad to join the three of you.
Just a good chat amongst the fellas tonight, Bucks. I'm looking forward to this. What time is it over there?
Oh, it's just like 11 a.m.
Yep. Been out for a run already?
Yeah, I did an easy 2 laps in the lake this morning. Moose would know it from his time when he was fit back in 2019. So it's a beautiful spot for a run.
Mate, I always wondered why people then wouldn't get on the trails. Everyone just used to run around the lake. It used to drive me insane.
I think that was more the people you were training with. There's great running, and like last year I did a little bit of exploring with Rayner, so I sort of know a bit more of it now. So it's there's lots of good options.
Yeah.
The problem is you get up here and you get a bit tired of altitude. And you have a race in 2 weeks, and you sort of just end up running the flat stuff. But if you come for a longer block, there's plenty of time to get stuck in.
Yeah, there is. It's the best running in the world. Oh, outside the Surf Coast, best running in the world.
Yeah, it looks good on Instagram whenever I see the reels come up of St. Moritz. Who are you there with, Bucks?
So there's like an on house which has some of the US boys and girls, all the Europeans. I'm rooming with Ed Trippus is rooming with me, which we'll talk about a bit later, and then a few of the like individual on-sponsored athletes, like Dominic Labalu, who's like a 7:29 guy.
Yeah, he came on the scene massive last year, didn't he, in those Diamond Leagues?
Yeah, no, he's a lot of fun living with. So it's sort of like three apartments per level, a little kitchen, little lounge room. It's a cool spot. So it's right in the same little corner of St. Moritz that I've stayed in last 2 years.
Yeah.
So I know it all really well.
Was there some
Which helps.
Was there some recent controversy with him as well that like he couldn't get a start at the Diamond Leagues?
I don't know about Diamond Leagues, I'm probably not as across it entirely to speak to it because I don't know if I'd be able to do it justice. But he's a 1250 guy. He's very very sharp, and he's been great fun.
Yeah, there was that workout. He was like smashing like 20 by 400 or something on the St. Moritz track. I just remember seeing like a caption like "Let me race" or something like that.
I think that might have been more to do with world champs, but like I said, I'm not across it, and I wouldn't want to get it wrong.
The lawyer straight batted me early here, boys.
Hey,
Could be a long night.
Bucks, how packed does the track get there? Because I believe the Ingebrigtsens are there, Bauman are there. Like, does it get pretty busy?
So at the start, it was absolute carnage because there was the elites weren't the problem. It was all the school kids and the university students, taking up lanes 1 and 2, and because it was sort of Swiss school holidays. So for a week or so, it was pretty carnage. But and you add to that they were redoing the tracks. There's now 6 lanes, not 3. But while they were redoing lane 5 and 6, they had it closed. Only the first 3 lanes were open. So that was a bit hectic. But that said, the other day, Ed and a few of the guys went down to work out in Chiavenna, which is like an hour away in Italy, and I stayed up top, and the track was free on Saturday. So it's a lot of it's timing.
Yeah, good. And your recent races, Bucks, like the 2K steeple, I think we recapped that in last week's episode. What's been the highlight? You've been happy with the season. I know like the World Champs team got named today and you weren't there. You were kind of close on points.
I don't know quite how close. I think maybe 2 or 3 spots out. I had an interesting season. Like I had my best ever Aussie domestic season. Like I ran the quickest I had around 8:25, and I won the championship, which I'd never done before, and that was really special. And I also ran a 3K PB and sort of put together a really good block of races. And I suppose you could break my season in 3 parts. Like domestically, really good. I did a block in Boulder where I got COVID and I hurt my calf, and I just didn't get the opportunity to race, which probably cost me a bit selection wise because of those races I missed. And then I sort of got myself going in Europe, and I had 3 races or 4 races. I went, I went 8:37, 8:28, 8:25, and then 5:26 in the 2K steeple. So I came good. I just left my run a little bit late, and that's reflected in me just missing Worlds.
And how does that sit with you? Like for someone who's been to 2 World Champs before, an Olympian, like is there, I know you probably did everything in your control, but is there a touch of like disappointment because you're kind of almost, we just expected you on these teams from now on?
I mean, it's very frustrating. It's frustrating because I felt like I got into really good shape. I just left it a little late. But I mean, we'll have a chat about the point system later, but you can overanalyze it. I mean, in 2 of the races I was in, I had a bloke pass me in the last 50 metres. That happened in the 2K I ran, and it happened in my 8:25 race in Budapest. If I'd held off either of those guys, I'd be going to World Champs based on a few more points from another finishing position. So it was in. I had a few things go wrong, but it was still within my control, and I couldn't quite get it done on the day. So I can cop that on the chin, and I just got to get stronger and fitter next year. I'm really happy. I'm quite proud with my Budapest run, which was my best run of the season, because like I was quite sick in the lead up to that race, and there wasn't much you could do. You just had to push on. And like when Tess and Morty got home, they both tested positive for COVID, which might have been with me a bit. But it was one of those ones I just stacked up and raced, and I ran really well. And like I got to the bell that day at about 7:16, which is like the quickest I've ever got to 400 to go. And I was in sixth, and I just faded a little bit. But like I was really happy with how I fronted up and how I raced. I just probably needed another race to get across the line.
Yeah. Any more questions about his recent racing, boys? Because I want to go behind the scenes with this on Athletes Club, if you haven't.
Just the 2K steeple, was that to try and get some extra points, or was it to try and chase the Aussie record? Because you're only 0.31 off Yusuf Abdi's Aussie record there.
I mean, being 0.31 off the Aussie record sort of sums up my season, really. I was very close. No, I mean, that 2K race, it's funny. I found out about it. It was after Budapest, and I was chatting with some of the British boys, and they told me it was on. And it was really the last chance to learn. And I sort of knew I'd have to go there and run, 5:25 and win to get it done. And so that was sort of part one. It was a chance to move up in ranking. Part two was, there was a chance we could run quite quick and have a shot at the Aussie record. And the third bit was there was a few guys in that race all chasing the last spot. So I was sort of also trying to defend my spot and not have someone else move ahead of me. And like it was a pretty quick race. Like I took it on with 4:50 to go, and I held off. I think I got past in about the last 30 metres by this Andorran bloke, who I think just made worlds actually. But I was quite pleased to beat Ed by about 0.02.
But Bucks, we talk about the points. You missed out just slightly. Your previous agent was Nick Beddoe, who seems to get a lot of people into diamond leagues, that kind of thing. Who's your agent now, and do you reckon that perhaps you've missed a few races with the change in agency?
My new agent is Sean Witt. I mean, honestly, I don't think so, because everything I wanted to get into, I got into. I think I was just unlucky I didn't get the chance to race in the US. Because I mean, it's not just a good race to get into. You need to actually go there and perform. Come top 4 or top 8 or top 12. I mean, there's no value in running 8:22 and coming 15th in a diamond league. It doesn't get you anything. So it's you've also got to get in and race well. So I ran the same. I mean, I think last year I qualified in a Finland race, and I raced in the same race this year. So I don't think that made any difference. I think it was just timing.
Yep.
Bucks, tell us about more about the on-house and stuff. Like, are there any people in particular that you're getting on with more than others? And like Ollie's obviously gone home with his injury. Like, I assume Morgan's still there, so that Australian connection.
Yeah, I don't think who's there. I know one of the Irish guys quite well, Luke McCabe. He's like a 334 guy. I got to know Geordie Beamish, Morgan, Ollie, a group of them. It's George Mills was quite good fun. There and a couple of the more European, American-based guys like Mario and Jonas. So it's just a nice group of guys and girls, and lots of people to jog with each day, and it can be a pretty lonely sport. So one of the big benefits at the moment is the opportunity to link in with international groups when you're travelling and away. Mainly just people to jog with. So it's been really good.
And is it one big group? Like, if you guys go out for a jog, like, it doesn't matter where, like, on Athletes Club you're based, like, you're still all in it together? It feels like a global team, or is it still very much like the countries stick together?
We stick together to a degree because everyone's on slightly different schedules. In the US, the boys would work out on a Sunday on occasion. They were just on a 2 workout cycle and a big long run. I remember one day at the track, there were 3 different groups, the team boss, Tim Man, and on, all working out on a Sunday at the track, which for an Australian seems pretty left field. But I mean, it just reflects that that they're just running professionally, and the days of the week don't really apply to them. So it's quite specific, but you've always got people who are jogging or who can do half the run with you.
Yeah, yep. And then your time in America, like I've heard Craig talk about that on a couple of different podcasts, and even the interview that Croaks and I did. Like, he was talking about all the stuff that he learned, but like, what about you as an athlete mixing with that group? Were there big takeaways? I think there was times where he spoke about even the pace of their long run and stuff they do.
I mean, I don't know so much key takeaways. It was more, I think the biggest value was just, just building relationships and getting to know that group and, having the opportunity to jump in with them. And I think I did a good steeple workout with Geordie Beamish. And I mean, we rejigged our schedule to match theirs. So we did most of the running with them, and we were on 2 sessions a week. But I mean, it was more just, I think, you go to as you guys know, you go to a new country, a new training environment, and one of the biggest values is having people day one to show you, where to run, where to get coffee, where to gym, just have everything, where to get treatment, just have everything set up from the very start, rather than sort of spending a week getting organised. And I think that's one of the biggest values. Same up here, just, got in your physio living in-house who I can see each day. So it's, I mean, that's the reason why you always go places because you sort of can just get into routine straight away. And then having the group's really valuable to help you get on very quickly.
Yeah.
Bucks, I have a question about just the differences between your current setup, because you've been with On now for just over a year?
Just close to a year. Yeah.
Do you call yourself the headliner as well, Bucks, of that group? Because I do. I think you're the big dog.
I know you do. No, I haven't referred to myself in the third person quite that way. Yes, I'd have to do a bit more. There's definitely. You probably going to ask me about some differences. I mean, one of the differences is just the simple thing that it's you get when you go from being someone who's not subservient to Stewie, but when like my old group was very much built around Stewie, which is as it should be, because you build around the best person in the group. And I definitely think I've had a lot of value on just having training, more specifically written for you from Craig, which I think has been really helping me. And I think that reflected in my domestic season.
And what about things like support? So, physio and travel and because I guess in the past it was like Nick would probably organise everything and then you'd sort of be billed maybe at the end of the season, whereas does On now sort of cover all of your travel costs and all of that?
I mean, to a degree, there's sort of probably two parts to that. Like in Australia, I definitely prefer the setup, and the biggest difference is there's more of a it's more of a team feel. And but what I mean by that is, because everyone's got a contract, there's an expectation that we all run together 5-6 days a week. We do easy runs together. We gym together. We long run together. And I live in Richmond, just around the corner from where there's a gym set up for us, which we have access to. We get physio in there every Monday. You start most of your runs and sessions from there. It's about 5K to Albert Park, so it's a perfect warm up. So that domestically, just having a base has been a change. I think that's been really valuable. Otherwise, things are reasonably similar. I mean, races pay for your accom and your travel. And the value is more just having a group to link up with overseas.
Hey.
And not the whole group didn't have that. It's just been probably a little bit slightly more organised.
From the outside, Bucks, it doesn't look like you've got anyone that could keep up with you over the past year in training. Are all your workouts pretty much solo in Melbourne?
They were. This was. It's funny actually because Ed just walked into the room. This was something I remember. I had to sort of make a decision on when I left, especially when I decided where to go, because I knew one of the trade-offs was I would probably be doing a lot of solo training for the first 6 months in the group, and sort of the decision I made was I felt like in 12 months' time it would be a really good group of guys who would have been signed, and something I really want to be part of, and I didn't want to have missed it. So I was prepared to sort of cop a year of training solo or training with people helping you out that aren't actually your teammates. Also knowing that I'd have the opportunity to link in with the people overseas come the business end of the season. And I think I'm allowed to say this. I mean, they've signed four boys have now been signed, including me. You've probably seen some of them running winter cross country races against you, coming in the top 10. I'm happy to say Ed Trippiss has just joined, and he's rooming with me in St. Moritz, and another American coming over. So American-based Aussie. So I'm really looking forward to the
Bucks,
the new group coming forward.
So you're very lawyerish right now. You got Faccione, you got Trippers, Buckingham, and who was the other one?
I'll let them announce it themselves. But
Right,
they
okay.
haven't got to us. They just haven't moved to Australia just yet.
Who's
So,
an
you know, you wouldn't have seen
American
them.
coming to Australia to join the group?
An Australian-based American.
Oh, okay.
Like just out of college, you reckon?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good work.
Oh, I reckon I know who it is. I won't say
I know.
that.
I reckon I know who it is too.
Yeah, I did see Zach Faccioni at Bundoora in the on stuff, and I was like, "Oh, that's a bit of a it's a bit of a giveaway when they start rocking the kit." Hey Bucks, but that's good to see him on the team. He's a 13-30
Well, I
guy,
mean,
isn't he?
I mean, look, Ed raced in my old singlets at in Birmingham, so I mean that was also a bit of a giveaway as well.
So Bucks. Next question. When you moved,
Plow on, Julian.
when you moved to On Athletic Club, did you obviously Craig's big personality, and well, yeah, we found out. Croaks found out when you asked him a shit question. He got
Yeah, I
he
hope you never
he
asked him a
definitely
shit question, Bucks.
Well, he definitely dominated that conversation. It was quite funny to watch. But plow on.
Yeah, and you were coming from a group with a pretty strong personality as the coach. Did you have any?
There's a comparison here, are you, Julian?
No, I'm just wondering if there was any sort of hesitation in that. Did you feel like maybe you needed a different type of? Not that they are similar types, Craig and Nick.
I'm sure if you accused them of being similar types, you'd start a war. But let's not.
I'm not doing that. Please, I'm not doing that.
I wish Craig was here right now because he'd be ripping into you, Moose, more than he was ever ripping into me.
I'm saying two personalities. Nothing similar about them. They're strong personalities, and you've gone from one group to another. Now,
Yes. Is there a question coming, or you just still?
I just want to know intricate differences in terms of how you are managed by the coaches.
Intricate differences in how I'm managed by the coach.
That's
a leading question.
personality wise, conversation wise, what sort of I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. I'm not a journalist, mate. I'm just asking. Tell me how your day to day goes. How it's different between the two coaches.
No, I've just been enjoying listening to you ask this question. It's taken a while. Look, I mean, the biggest change in some ways is just there's always a lot of value in just having a fresh voice. And I mean, I'll let others make their own assessments on the similarities. But what I'd say is, when you go from a pretty established relationship when you've been with someone for 4 years to a fresh relationship with someone. And I think that's been really really beneficial for me. And I found Craig really got me going again after Com Games. I was probably a bit burnt out. The biggest thing is, I mean, we've I'm going to think how I say this, but the biggest difference, I suppose, is I feel I had more of a relationship with my coach, and that is, I think that's simply down to the fact that when you're 31 and 42, you've got a lot more in common than when you're 31 and 62. That's not a crack in any shape or form. It's just a different dynamic. And I think, we've both got partners. We've both, it's just a different dynamic. And I've found that's worked really well for me. The way he's run things. It'd be hard to put a finger on exactly what it is. It's just, I've really benefited from the change I found.
Let's hear about your train. Oh, you got some more there, Moose?
Oh no, I was going to say that answer was almost as awkward as my question.
Well, I mean, probably an awkward question deserves an awkward answer. I mean, we got there, didn't we? I mean, it's always been a fun one. But push on.
Monday to Sunday, Bucks. What did you do last week in training?
Last week, this has been a funny week. Let's have a look at Strava. So I've been managing I'd almost call it OP or something in my SOAS for the last essentially 6 weeks, which always plays up a bit after races. So Monday I ran 42 minutes with Lyndon and Ed, just out and back on the trails up here. Really like pace, don't you? Got that 4:39 pace, pretty cruisy. Tuesday I had off and I got an MRI scan, which I'll come back to. And let's see, Wednesday did an easy 30 minutes. 4:23s. This just a lap of the lake, Julian. Thursday, another 2 laps of the lake. 10K, about 4:18s. 12K Friday, similar sort of tempo. Saturday, I did a shorter progression run. Nothing too hectic. Sort of started off about 4:10s and sort of got down to 4:30, sort of in 10-minute blocks.
Around the lake, mate?
Around the lake. It's been a riveting week so far.
Travel around the world to run around one 4K lake.
4.5, and then I did an hour run on Sunday. But like my week's been relatively boring because, like, as I sort of flagged, I've had this sort of, I've essentially had inflammation in my psoas, and which is sort of rolled into a few spots, which I've been managing for probably 6 weeks, which is sort of, it'll flare up after races and then it'll settle down pretty well. And it flared up really bad after Budapest, which is about 2.5 weeks ago. And I pretty much got it settled by that 2K in Birmingham, and then that really flared up again. And then at that point, we sort of said, well, we'll run out the week, on the off chance that I make worlds, and then we'll have to make a decision on if I push on for some races at the end of the season or if I come home. And we got the scan to sort of get a bit of an assessment on, essentially, am I going to do myself, significant damage by pushing on for another month? Because it's one thing to push on when you think you're going to make world. It's another thing. It's harder to push on when it's just one more race, in early September.
You've had the scan?
Yeah.
I've had the scan. It's fun when you get the results in German. But and I should say, like, it was like I got the scan in 12 hours up here in St. Moritz, organised by ON, so it was very, very helpful of them. But it essentially showed I've got a sort of inflammation all through my pretty much just really bad OP. Little bit
same as Ollie
Hall in there. Well, he had more of a similar stuff. Like he had more of a I think linguinal hernia, which I didn't have. But like it was quite similar symptoms actually. Yeah, and I think Morgan had it actually just before something like this, just before Tokyo.
It's not those shoes, is it, mate?
Well, I mean, he was in the shoes then. He was running in Under Armour, I think, Morgan. But I think part of it's just travel. A lot of flying, a lot of traveling between countries, and you sort of get pretty locked up and jammed up. And you just you're in that sort of mentality where you're going to run no matter what, so you push on, and you sort of and you manage things, and they can sort of cause other things to go wrong. So
does it affect your hurdling? Because I imagine it would.
Well, it doesn't. It didn't hurt. I didn't feel it in the race at all. It just affects the ability to do hurdling in training. So we're essentially just seeing if it settles at the moment. Last week and this week, and then we'll make a call on what we do. Because I've got to start in the Chinese Diamond League on the 2nd of September. So there's a real temptation to sort of push on and race that on the way home to Australia. But there's also, you sort of weigh out that risk with just calling the season and getting ready for next year. So we're in the process of doing that now, and we wanted to sort of let me run on it for a week and see if it's settled to make that call, because this whole season it has settled after races. It's just taking longer and longer to settle this time.
So with the upside or the temptation to run China, would that be because you could potentially earn good points for the Olympic qualification?
Exactly. And also, let's be honest, I mean, I've only raced in one Diamond League. I think I've paced 2 and raced 1. So that's always an exciting bit. And I mean, either way, I think I'm gonna have to have a little break when I finish, just when I finish the season. And it was just a question: do I have that break now, or do I push on? Because I mean, I haven't really missed any days. I mean, I had a day off for the scan, but I've pretty much ploughed on. So I'm really fit and I'm able to train on it. It's just it's just sort of making an assessment on what's the best way to get ready for next year.
Yeah.
And is that get another good result on the board and start my season a bit later, or is that get healthy and get back quicker? And I mean, we could probably turn this into a question about the my athletics club's battle with relegation that's going on at the moment. If you want to touch on that as well, or we can come to that a bit later, because St Stephen's are looking. Stu, you've been saying each week, it's looking grimmer and grimmer for the boys.
Yeah, well, because that was one of my questions about the members of the OAC, like, and maybe you can transition to the road much better than other people in that team. Like, will that be something you look to do in the spring, like back here? Like fun run season, you know what I mean? Like big, I know like the Diamond Leagues and the track stuff, making teams is the main focus, but for exposure for the brand, winning something like the Burnie 10 or something at the Melbourne Marathon Festival, things like that? Would that be something you'd do?
I mean, the last few years I've always sort of, either taken a while to get going or come out of the season with a bit of a niggle, and I haven't actually had the opportunity to race some of those. I've always wanted to run Noosa, and my group went up and raced Noosa last year, I think, they all with Craig commentating. So that would be something I quite enjoy doing. And obviously, Zatopek I'll race when that gets organised. But what I'd probably say to that question is, and I know where you're coming from, like exposure-wise, but I'm definitely one of those steeplechasers who I've got no interest in going up in distance. I don't have any burning desire to run a marathon. I'll run one at some point, but I'm keen to stay on the track until I'm done. Whereas, for example, like Matty Clark, who has just been selected for world champs, and we get on quite well, but he's very keen to move up and run a marathon in the short term, I think, short to medium term. I have no interest. I like the track and I'd like to stay here.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Moose, do you want to go through your training week? I'll go through mine, and then we'll just keep throwing questions at Bucks as we're going. If you want to shut that dog up, that'd be great as well.
Yeah. Well, I'll send Bree out and shut him. You want to shut him up? So I ran on Monday morning with Ali, 50 minutes. Where did we go? We went out and about. Can't even remember this run. Oh, it was in Aries, actually. Oh, Jose joined us with Tiggy in the pram for a bit. So that was fun. He's not the fittest at the moment and was running with a pram, as you know, adds like 15, 20 beats to the heart rate. So, yeah, he turned around about 2K. We kept jogging. Afternoon, ran with Bree up at the top of the hill. So did a bit of jogging. Good RG type paces, real slow. It's been good. Tuesday morning, trails, ran an hour through the single track. So put the trail shoes on and just jogged around. It's pretty slow going on the trails. It's like steep, uneven footing, a lot of twisty kind of single track. So even though you're working pretty hard, your pace doesn't get any faster than like 440s out there. And my ankles just aren't great on single track, so I take it pretty slow. But it makes the time go real quick. Did a workout on the Wednesday. So this was like a bit of a marathon workout. It was 50 minutes worth. So I wanted something a bit longer. I wanted something that was continuous. I didn't want to do intervals. I'm trying to get my workouts to be more longer, steady type efforts rather than interval training. So this one was a fartlek. I did 10 lots of 3 minutes with the pace goal around 3:20, and the floats I wanted to hit about 25 seconds slower than whatever was the on. The first rep, I thought I was going to have a real shocker because I struggle to get going in the morning. So I ran 3:26 and then floated 3:45. And then I started to move a bit. So like reps were 3:20, 17, 19, 17, 20, 18, 18, 20, 18. And the offs were 45, 48, 39, 37, 44, 44, 36, 40, 48, 34. And at the start of this workout, it was fairly easy, fairly comfortable. And then it just gradually got harder, basically. Like I just started to fatigue throughout. And if you look at sort of my heart rate graph, it does get kind of a bit higher towards the end. The effort was pretty hard at the end. Probably couldn't have done too many more reps after this one. I took a gel at about 50 minutes. About 45 minutes, sorry. And it just felt a bit early in the morning for a gel. Just probably not the most pleasant experience. And I was working over threshold at that time. So trying to get a gel down at marathon effort is so much different to getting one down when you're actually working hard. It's a real chore. So I was happy with the paces for that. It was 50 minutes worth of work, so that's a pretty high volume for a session.
Is that a new one for you? Never seen that before.
It is a new one, actually. Yeah, I had Matt Gunther planned to do it the day before, so I wanted him to guinea pig it, and then I was going to see how it went, but then he ended up pushing it back to the day after. and I gave him 12. So I gave him an hour's worth, but I also gave him easier paces or easier efforts. And I think this was about spot on in terms of effort versus volume. 50 minutes. You could slow it down, go 60 minutes, probably be better workout actually.
Well, for the listeners though, what kind of pace are you working on? Like, you go on marathon pace plus 25 seconds? Because I see in your comments here that you've kind of ignored heart rate and you like to go on pace closer to the race.
Yeah, I do. So I turned the heart rate off. Well, I didn't turn it off. I just don't have it on my screen when I was doing these workouts. I saw it only at the very end. And I was just going off, trying to hit the pace. So about 320s for me. Once I started the workout, I'm like, that's going to be a good goal to hit. And then 3:45s, but more to effort the floats. Pretty much just floating as hard as I could in order to keep hitting 320s. That's the goal of the float, I reckon. I don't like a set float pace. It's not that important. I think the recovery period is just as I said it. Like, keep the heat on so that it's still quite difficult and it adds fatigue throughout the 50 minutes. But don't have the heat on too much that your ons slow down from what your goal is.
Yeah.
I pretty much got I'm trying to dial in feel and pace now. Heart rate, for me, I'm not sure exactly what my marathon heart rate is, so it doesn't make sense for me to do too many workouts at that. I don't even really know what my threshold heart rate is. I kind of just use a bit of a guideline. So when I'm getting more specific to races, I like to switch over to pace. And effort too, as we'll have a chat about that coming up, I'm sure. So the next day I ran 50 minutes in the morning, got a pair of shoes, this Puma Magnify Nitro 2. So this is I think it's like a jogging shoe from them, maybe a plated jogging shoe, perhaps. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where it fits in their line. It wasn't bad. I felt the upper was a bit stiff. Not a bad feel underfoot. I think it's their best shoe from people that wear Puma. They say it is.
You stocking Puma now?
No. I just got sent these ones.
Bit of influence in here.
I don't even
know
how
much you charge for a Strava photo.
Well, a pair of shoes.
Okay.
By the looks of it, I guess that's a going rate here. But then I can rag it in the review, and it's actually
doesn't affect business.
No. Well, I didn't rag these. They're their best shoe for sure, and they're a serviceable shoe. Like, I didn't fall in love with them. I'm not going to go buy a pair, but like they could sit on the wall and we'd probably sell a few each season. No doubt. I ran in the afternoon. We had a run club with ASICS. So ASICS bloke come down, brought out his full demo kit, and we advertised this run test night. And then not a single person showed up. So it was me, Jimmy, Josh, the another guy who works in our store, Josh Wilmot. So we just went out for a jog together. It's actually really nice. 40 minutes around town, beautiful night too. Then next morning ran an hour again around town, got on some hills. This one felt pretty good. Did a trail run on Saturday. This was just with Ali, so we're running trails Saturday. This one was proper single track, like the whole way, and it went so fast. We like being on the trails, time disappears. It's incredible. It's just enjoyable feeling. It's pretty technical, this track. So then the afternoon ran with Ali again down in Aries. The main session for the week for me was down the next day, Sunday. So drove down to Ballarat in the morning. We had a lot of people, girls, boys, doing Sydney, Berlin, Melbourne marathons. So this sort of comes at a time, this race, where you can't really give up a Sunday for a race too easily. So everyone likes running for their club, though, except for anyone who runs for St. Stephen's. They're actually not interested at running for their club at all.
Well, we'll come back to that, but push on.
20k first. We went over the hills, ran sort of an old loop that I used to do when I lived here. Good to see the old sites. Told the guys I run with all the spots where I used to drop Watto. Every little hill, used to drop Watto here. Next corner, dropped Watto here a few times. So they had a good storytelling sort of listen the whole way. then 15K at Marathon Efforts. So the race started, and my sort of plan was, like, the guide was to start about 3:25s. So I knew what I was running, and I was going to jump in, run with him for a little bit. So let me just get to I don't think I started on an exact kilometre, but I think it was about 3:23, and I was next to Watto, and we were running along for a bit. We did the corner, did the out and back to start with. So Lake Wendouree 6K round. So the course is basically 1.5K out, 1.5K back, and then you just do 2 full laps of the road circuit. It's a road race, so you don't go on the Steve Moneghetti track, which is the beautiful little dirt track on the inside. It's a very fast course. If you get good conditions here, you can really wind it up. And it was very good conditions for this day. Like, we had a bit of a headwind at a certain part of the course, but for Ballarat, this was spot on. And a lot of people ran fast. It's not a measured course exactly, so you'll find a lot of people got it measured at short. And historically, it's been pretty short too. But it's close enough, really.
Same every year too, isn't it?
It's pretty much the same. There's a few question marks on, like, start points, not finish points, but like the turnaround. I reckon they've changed it one year, but whatever, it doesn't matter. No one's running world records there.
Didn't Mona miss a world record because they got the course wrong a few years ago?
Yeah, he did, but I'm not sure how he was going to get it anyway when it was not a certified course.
No, it used to be certified.
So, did it?
If you look up your world, because you had a really good year there one year, didn't you just miss breaking 45?
Yeah, I ran 45:04, I think it was.
I reckon. What did you reckon you ran?
45:04.
04, yeah.
06
it was real close. Yeah, sorry, I thought you said 44. And I was like, no, it's quicker than that. I reckon that'd be on your World Athletes profile. Yeah, it is 45:06 from 2019.
Was that in the lead up to your PB, Julian?
No, that was in the lead up to Doha. But I don't think that was certified. I reckon the course was a bit short that day, maybe.
Oh, okay. You reckon that was when World Athletics was still taken, like, just submit your own?
Yeah, I don't think that was certified.
And now they've
day.
got new rules and don't take it anymore. Maybe
I don't
that's
know.
it.
I just don't know what the deal is. Like, I don't know. It'd be cool. It'd be good to get some clarification on what World Athletics takes and what it doesn't.
I think they've got stricter in the previous years.
Because you know that Fitzy's 5K that just happened?
Yeah.
They didn't take results last year from that, but they used to. Back in 2018 they did.
So similar story. Same situation.
Yeah, it sounds like it, because Jess Stenson's 5K from last year is not up there. And she ran pretty quick, I reckon.
Yep. I'm going to look. I might look up the your Strava data from 2019, see what it come in at.
Yeah, it was like 49.95 or something.
No, I mean the distance was.
Yeah.
Okay. So same course.
I mean, 14.95. Yeah.
So, Moose, talk us through all these 3:13s, 3:14s when you're trying to get into like marathon rhythm.
Can I ask about that actually, Julian, as well? If just on Croaks, like, do you, in this period of a block, do you run to feel? Considering you've run 2:14 and then you've run, much slower. Like, do you know what I mean? Do you?
It depends, Bucks. It depends.
Pace?
It depends.
I'm curious how you think about it, because you obviously your marathon pace is probably how you feel, isn't it? It's not a set thing, because you're not trying to run 2:14 right now.
Yeah, that's right.
How you go about it? Does it just come out, or are you looking at the watch when you go into a workout?
Well, for this, it's normally a mixture. It's normally a blend where I've probably got like a top, like. For this one here, this was marathon effort for sure. So I was basically skipping from pack to pack to pack ahead. And each time I would get to a pack, I would settle in and I would just feel like the pace was too slow to be marathon effort. And I would be running along, and then like I would sit at the back and I'd be like, okay, this is a good pack. I'll just do 10K here with the guys. And then all of a sudden one would drop off. I would end up like ending up at the front of the pack, and then all of a sudden, like, without even realizing, the pack was kind of falling apart behind me, and I was separated. And then I would be like, okay, well, I guess I just run to the next pack, and then I would get to the next pack in this race, and I would think, yeah, I'll probably recover now. But I wasn't recovering from anything. I felt fine. And
so you blew up another bunch of boys, just causing carnage in your wake each pack.
They could do what they wanted. I was just running through trying to find that marathon feel, and I reckon this was very close to how a marathon feels. And the difference, like some people will do a workout, say on Wednesday, right, and they do 3x5K at marathon effort. Now that's off a 3K warm up, and they go straight into 5K at marathon effort. That should be pretty easy, considering like they've got no fatigue in their legs and they're running a pace that they need to run 8 times more. It would be like you doing a rep at your 3K, like a 400 at 3K pace. Like you can get that done. That doesn't scare you, does it?
No.
Yeah. So but say you do 6 laps at tempo, and then you go and run. Then you're told, okay, now I need you to do the 7th lap at 3K pace. That's a whole different story. And you're still doing 400 meters at 3K pace. It's just a different feel. So if you do that straight out of the gates in the session, that feel is totally different to doing it at the end of the session. Yeah, it's the same prescription for the effort required. So for me, like the whole purpose of this workout, I did 90 minutes beforehand at 4:09s through the hills. I finished it pretty fatigued. I remember thinking, fuck, my legs feel terrible as I was getting changed into my race shoes. And so I expected this to feel about starting the workout where I would be starting to feel in a marathon at like 22K. And I wanted to finish this race as if I was about the 35 to 37K mark of a marathon, which is right before you cross that line where shit gets real. For me, anyway, in a marathon, that's almost a tip point if I'm having a good day. And I reckon that's what I felt.
Big race coming up, Crogs. Couple of weeks.
Well, I'll get your take after I say something, Brady. But I know the only reason I'm going to rip into you here, Moose, is that I've seen multiple screenshots of where people have put these type of sessions down, going like 15K at marathon pace, marathon effort, whatever it is, at the back end of a long run, and you basically rip them to shreds because they're like, well, that's not, why would you run significantly faster than, I know you've explained that you wanted to feel like pretty much the back end of the marathon, but you've been a big advocate of specificity and getting used to the rhythm of marathon pace. So like, why are you running potentially close to 10 seconds a K faster?
Like you're saying now, mate, Moose, this is your new marathon pace.
Yeah, but in the past, you'd be very, very critical of people doing this.
If this was me and you, Croaks, would be dead men walking.
Yeah.
You would both do this, and and I'm not here's the difference, and I've used this explanation for a few arguments already because people have peppered me with this, and fair enough. Like I'll cop it. I reckon I have slammed a few people about this before, and even during the workout, I remember thinking, okay, the pace. Like I look down, I'm like, oh, the pace is a bit quick here, but fuck, I feel fine. Like I'm taking drinks, I'm talking to everyone in the group. I'm literally having conversations to people next to me, and I feel like I want to jump to the next pack, and it's not going to take any sort of effort to do so, and I did it. And then I got to the end, and I let a bloke run off on me, and I just stayed. I'm like, yeah, I don't need to run off. I'm good here. Finished the race, felt fine, have a cool down, and then I bonked after that. But so that explains the decision making within the workout. But these are I've run a lot of marathons, 20, 25 marathons, and I think I've got a pretty good idea of how a marathon feels. So the last 5 marathons, sure, the last one didn't go to plan, but that was a bit of a shit fight. We know that. But before that, Doha, 2:19 in 29 degrees, 2:14, 2:16, 2:18, and then I had a decent one at Melbourne. Oh, then I had a Great Ocean Road that went pretty well. So out of the last 5 marathons, I've sort of nailed 4 to 5 out of 6.
So what shape are you in now for a marathon then, you reckon?
Croaks, do not sleep on me over Sydney. Because you know Brett Robinson's injured as well, Bruce. You might win this 15K.
15 grand.
I know.
What I'm saying is that I've got a pretty good grasp of how a marathon feels. And I'm saying that this felt like how I could handle 42K.
So
I like it.
So this is sub 250. This is like 215 pace.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that's the pace I'm going to run. I'm saying on this day, in this race, how I felt was how a marathon will feel.
No, that's bullshit. You can't just say like you had a magical day and then in 6 weeks' time it goes different pace.
Sydney has 380 metres of climbing. I'm not going to run this pace at Sydney.
Brady, have you ever done 15K at the end of a long run at marathon pace?
No.
Like I've never done it. And
I did 6K, I reckon, and that was pretty challenging.
I think
being in a race is easier.
I think 10 was the most I ever did, and that was pretty much at the pace that I was able to hold for the marathon, not 15K.
He's fit.
So good signs.
He's fit.
I'm pretty confident that if you chatted to anyone within the groups that I was running with and you said, oh, did it look like it was an all-out effort or did it look like he was in marathon sort of effort mode? Reach out. Hear their thoughts. Write in. Say, was he spent? Was he working too hard or how'd he look?
I'll ask a couple
Sydney
of the
Marathon,
7 Bendigo Bats boys.
This is it. This Sydney Marathon, 380 metres of climbing. So you're going to base off the fact that I ran around a flat Ballarat Lake after only 90 minutes of warm-up, and you're going to say, oh, your marathon pace isn't 3:15 because you didn't run it at Sydney. No, that's not right.
So you're telling me if you were going to Berlin in 6 weeks, you reckon you'd run 2:14, 2:15?
No, because that's not... That's
what you just said. You said Sydney's hilly, so I won't run that pace.
Ballarat's the same as Berlin in terms of it's flat and it's fast.
But I didn't run that. 3:10 is 2:14 pace.
What's 3:15s?
I don't know, probably like
3:15. Probably 3:15s.
2:15, you mean?
No, so I think 3:15s is about 2:15 pace.
No, it's slower than that. It's slower than that.
Things are getting heated here, Bucks.
I didn't want to interrupt. I was really enjoying that. I mean, it sounds like Julian's just saying, do as I say, not as I do.
Well, he's been going deep on his TED Talk training talks of recent weeks, so I feel like everything's going in his favour leading to Sydney.
I guess the point is, Moose, you're very critical of people doing these marathon sessions a lot faster than marathon pace. So
maybe 6 seconds off my marathon pace. If you look at my PB, this is fucking easy. This is light work.
It's the same guy that couldn't run up a hill at Bundoora 3 weeks ago, Coach.
Yeah, or the same guy that was basically saying that he was getting cooked when he was running 3 minutes at 3:20s and then 2 minutes at 3:45 a few days earlier.
Yeah, put a singlet on me, shit changes. I run for the love of the singlet, and it's amazing what that can bring out.
What position did you come?
It's a good run.
What position? I don't know. I don't care. I don't care what position I come.
Yeah.
I was
running for the singlet. Doesn't care what position.
721 kudos. So that's a win.
Good for Strava. Yeah, that's some good kudos. Did you get out for a PM jog? Were you that motivated or what?
I felt like it. You know what? I wanted to go out just to shut a few people up in my messages afterwards, just to show them that I was going all right.
Yeah, ours will lighten up as well, our DMs. Anyway, it's a good week. You're fit. Can't wait to hear these next 6 weeks of training. Going to whistle through this, fellas, because I didn't do much, but we got some stuff to get to, and we've been going for 50 minutes. Monday was real sleepy. That was the night, Sunday night last week, when Olivia didn't sleep real well. That's why I was a bit dusty for the recording of our 300th last week. So I reckon I was rolling off about 4 hours sleep, 60 minutes at 4:42s in the morning. Tuesday, did 6 by a mile at threshold pace, which is pretty similar to Moose's marathon pace, 3:13 pace, off 90 seconds jog. Just a real bread and butter workout for me. Just enjoy that. Get some good mileage out of it as well. Pretty manageable. PM, got out for 30 minutes at 4:44s. Been trying to take a bit of inspiration from your boy, Bucks, Paddy Stowe, the Albury guy and star of Road to Berlin. Just trying to get those second runs. Now I've reintroduced them just to be super slow. So I want to try and hit a couple of fives.
At 5 minute pace.
Yeah, he hits fives. I was trying to hit fives and 4:44 was almost as slow as I could go.
I think the thing in Albury though is it's pretty hot. Not right now, but it's very hot over summer in the Arvo. I think that's why he started doing it. And he's also been on his feet in the clinic all day working, so he's pretty shattered.
Yeah, and he's got some hills there too.
So I think Julie used to tell him to run quicker.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did what? Sorry, I missed
He
that.
told him to jog quicker.
Troll Paddy to go quicker.
Yeah, he does some pretty. I mean, it's pretty slow going. He doesn't run trails or anything.
5 minutes ago. Anyway, Wednesday did 60 minutes at 4:33 before work. Thursday I did another workout because I had a bit of a busy weekend coming up. So I did 10 by 2 minutes at about 3:04 pace, off a minute kind of shuffle in between. This felt hard, like this pace. I had to kind of work for it. It was cold though, and I'd usually go like Tuesday, Friday, so like 24 hours less recovery time. And just had a bit of life stress going on as well. A few things changed at work, and I had this fun run I was kind of organising. So training was pretty low on my priorities last week, so I just got it done. Didn't really care that the pace felt a bit harder. Just ticked it off. Friday, 60 minutes at 4:23s, and then Saturday I did my long run. I did 2 hours and 20 minutes at 4:11s, which was 33.5k. My watch absolutely cooked it. For some reason, it just didn't register like the first 14 or 15k of my run, which then cooked all my records on Strava. So I got home and it told me I'd run like a half marathon PB, a 10k PB. Entertained a few people there when I uploaded that one. Been having some issues with my Coros lately. My what's that thing called, Moose, where you change between the screens?
The bezel.
My bezel's a bit
yeah.
cooked. Kind of.
Mine, yeah.
So sometimes I start workouts and it's just like I don't have the pace screen on, so I've got to just wait until it kind of feels a bit better. And some reason that cooked it on this upload as well. So kind of just cut off like half my map and like half my data. But anyway, not too data driven, so got the job done there. And then Sunday, this was the day I was we had the local fun run on, which was amazing. So we did a bit of spray painting of the course. I know you've done this before, Moose, when you used to do that trail race, like spray paint, you put the arrows out, spray paint the course, get the chalk out on the concrete. The council doesn't allow us to spray paint the concrete parts, so we chalked that.
You got out and back though?
No, it's a bit of a technical course. It's a bit like a 10k loop, and then the half marathon does a bit of an extension, so they do a bit of a 10.5k loop and then an extra 100 metres at the start line. So kind of, the one core 10k that we kind of had to mark out. You know, my mate Faz Moose, me and him do a bit of organising for this one. So we met at 6 o'clock Sunday morning to set up all the stuff that we couldn't put out the night before. So like all the cones and the signage on the course. That was, dark in the morning too. So you're setting up, you can't really see much. And then I got my mate's scooter from work. Like he's got a Honda 125. And then my job, like my role was pretty much to make sure the course was okay. So I just kind of hooked around on this motorised scooter all morning, just making sure the marshals knew where to go, making sure they knew which direction to point in. Had a massive argument with the traffic management guys. You guys ever had arguments with traffic management people before? They're just I don't know, like it's a real stereotype, but I feel like people that work in that field, and I'm sorry if we've got any Patreon supporters who work in that field, but the ones around here, they just pretty much look like they're bikies. They're just like rough as guts. They're just like, there was a couple of roads that were meant to be fully closed and they were just like letting traffic go down there and stuff. And I'm like, we paid heaps of money. Like that's the big cost, traffic management, and we try to keep it off as many main roads as possible because you can't afford to pay for that many road closures. And they just like, it's all right, we'll just let some cars go down and then we'll let them back up. And so I got in a few arguments while I was out there on the scooter, which scared me a bit because, as I said, they looked pretty rough and like they could fight some of these traffic management people. So it was a stressful morning, like real stressful, but everything went to plan. And it was a good morning. Had about 350 people there. And I just love how like running brings people together. Like this is a fun run for people with a disability. So a lot of those people out on the course and very, it's not elitist at all. The times are definitely not what we're talking about on this kind of show, but just, seeing people active and getting around the local community was just, very, I don't know, just like heartwarming. Sounds a bit lame, but it was just good to see, how we use running as a sport to then go within the community, not at an elite kind of level of the sport, if that makes sense. It was very much like a fun run, park run. So like it was on bike paths and so it was really kind of cool, and a lot of energy had gone into it over the last couple of months to see it kind of unfold. successfully. So after that, at maybe about 1 p.m. after we'd packed up and stuff, I went out for just an easy 50 minutes at 4:32s, but was pretty cooked. That was a week of 130. And yeah, that was good. Just stringing the weeks together. Looking forward to Eckerton Relays is my next race in a couple of weeks on the AB circuit, and then Burnley Half Marathon. So just kind of stringing some weeks together to get ready for that.
Nice work, Brady, on putting on an event.
Thanks, Croaks. I have to get you here next year.
What, as a traffic management guy?
Nah, you're way too classy for that kind of role, Croaks. But I'll find you something. I'll put you on a corner somewhere as a marshal, pointing in a direction.
Chuck some cash to the winners?
I think they get like the restaurant at Moama Bowling Club vouchers. You know, the good one at the end there, Croaks?
Yeah,
The Junction, that really classy one at the end. I think that's what they win. It's
signed merch from Brady as well, I reckon.
Yeah, I could have done that. Oh, actually, I've got a story for you guys, and I want your take on it. So, like, Hudson, obviously he's nearly 4, so, like, gets a lot of exposure to me running and knows running's pretty important in my life and stuff. And they had this, like, kids race, like the Junior Bolt, and he'd been coming out on the course and helped me spray paint stuff and do the chalk and stuff like that. So he's kind of been pretty interested in this fun run kind of thing. And I said to him, yep, you can do this race. Like, I think it was for 5 to 10-year-olds kind of thing. And I was like, it's all good. I'm one of the organisers. You're not 5 yet, but you can do this race. So I lined up with him at the start line. And then gun goes. These kids just sprint like it's free beer. Me and Hudson get absolutely dropped at the end. We ended up coming last. Like, I'm running along, holding his hand, and I'm just like, is this going to be a traumatic experience for this young kid, and he's always going to, like, hate running? Like, did I do the wrong thing as a parent? Like, all the people are, like, cheering him on, and like, go Hudson, and da-da-da, and this and that. And I'm just like, his heart rate's probably at 200. I'm not sure if he's actually having fun. Have I just ruined any chance? Not that I would be pushing him to get into running, but I'm just like, I don't know if I did the right thing there, fellas. And I didn't like how all the kids just sprinted off.
Was he smiling?
He was smiling and, like, laughing and, like, having a little bit of a joke, but it was almost like a bit of a, like, unsure kind of little laugh. And then I got to the end and he got a little prize, and I think he was happy. He got a medal. Told him he was the first 3-year-old kind of thing. But I'm like, the whole, like, and I, like, not that I dominate that many races, but I've never been in a situation where the whole field has just dropped me and I'm the last person. So it was like this weird feeling that everyone just ran off in the distance. And I'm like, oh, here's my little fella down here. So yeah, odd experience. Let's see if we get him signed up in the future. Anyway.
I can't help you there. Yeah, I can't help you.
Yeah,
sorry.
Let me know. And then Carly's like, what did you think was going to happen? He's like a 3-year-old against all these, like, 6 and 7-year-olds and 10-year-olds. And yeah, but anyway, Hudson's got his first finishers medal. May never get another one ever again. But thanks to Patreon supporters. Croaks, who you got?
I got Dawn Beaumont from Woodford in South Australia. On her Strava, it's got that she's a Queen of Hearts epic duathlon athlete, and that means that she's training to run and ride 20,000 kilometres over 200 days around Australia. She'll cross every state and territory to raise awareness and funds for the Heart Foundation. I'm not sure when that's taken place or if it's already happened. 5K PB of 28.24, estimated best 10K of 59.20 during last year's City Bay. Runs for the Runners One group in Adelaide, and I believe she works for the Royal Flying Doctor Service of Australia as a health, safety, environment advisor. So thanks for your support, Dawn, and all the best for that event if it hasn't already been.
Wow, that's pretty impressive, isn't it?
It's a lot of kilometres.
Good on you, Dawn. Who you got, Moose?
I got Carla Treweek. So Carla's from Ballarat. She is a 1727 athlete. I reckon she's beaten that. She ran faster than that at one of those Box Hill ones, I reckon. 35.52 at this year's Albert Park 10K. She ran a PB of 79.23 at the Gold Coast Half this year. She's a principal at RSM Australia, which is like accountant work, I think. She actually helped me with business valuation stuff when I was purchasing the Geelong store. She runs for the Wendouree Athletics Club. She's won both the prestigious Chas Suffren as well as Ballarat Lap of the Lake. She's a bit of a stalwart of Ballarat athletics, actually. She's doing Sydney Marathon as her debut. She's just getting into some hard work now. So she ran 90 minutes and then did a progression run through the Ballarat 15K. Yeah. What else about Carla?
She do it at marathon pace.
She did a progression run actually, because she probably doesn't know her marathon pace yet, or she's got no idea what marathon effort should be because she's never done one.
That's right. Yeah. Good on you, Carla.
Thank you, Carla.
That sounds
She's
like
got a lot of money. She actually has a lot of money.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, she drives a four-wheel drive Audi. She's got like multiple houses in Ballarat. She's flying. Fiance Will, she just got engaged too. He's also very wealthy. He's an accountant too.
Oh, he's not with her for the money kind of thing, you don't think?
Nah, I think they work together, which is got to be hard work. I mean, I know it's hard work. I can confirm.
I'm going to thank Luke Rowland from London, founder Luke Rowland on Power of 10 website. If it's the same guy, he's ran 16:06 for 5k, so he's quick at the recent British Milers Club meet, 33:31 at the 2022 Telford 10k, and 74:14 for the half marathon in Santa Pola, Spain. He's also ran 2:34 at last year's London Marathon, which was the October edition last year. They do two last year, Croaks?
Yeah, they
April
did
and
too.
October. That was the last year of that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks, Luke, Dawn, Carla, for your support of the Inside Running podcast on Patreon. If you want to get heaps of bonus content, you can sign up, support us on the show. Or if it just brings you value, our lowest tier of support is just $5 a month. So if you think what we put out for free is worth $5, we'd greatly appreciate your support. Trying to think what else goes up there. Road to Berlin's been going up there with big success. Might have another side project starting soon. Catching up with the boys, Christian and Toby, for the monthly this week. We'll recap everything that's been happening. See, the big dog did a 3-hour run yesterday, Christian. He's getting fit. That's when you know he's going all right. Yeah, he's going all right. So I'll talk to those
DMs
boys during the week.
Actually.
Did you?
DMs about Crusoe's long run.
A couple of screenshots got sent through.
Just reckon Valencia may be a little far away for these 3-hour runs, but no, I like it. I don't mind it.
Bucks, I did hear a whisper that you've been listening to Road to Berlin.
Let's dial into Paddy and see how he's tracking.
Yeah,
because we do a bit of running together when I'm back home. We've got a really good long run around Beechworth.
Paddy's regressing. You see his results this week?
I didn't see his result. No, he's regressing, or he's just in a good block of training and racing sensibly for the team.
Guess we'll find out on Wednesday when I host it.
This week's episode of the Inside Running Podcast is proudly sponsored by On. Double Cloud Tech to double your run. The Cloud Stratus has always been a performance superstar, with famously impressive cushioning on a road run for 5k up to a marathon. The winning recipe is evolved into the Cloud Stratus 3 with noticeable performance and sustainability upgrades. The improved nylon speedboard adds a powerful forward roll and a shaved off seconds to those double distances. While refined cushioning doubles down on the underfoot softness sensation, the Cloud Stratus is famous for to take your run further than before. Visit on.com or your specialty running retail store to grab your pair today. We will actually. Moose, do you want to go there first though? Ballarat 15k, you're talking about Paddy Stowe. I think he was 10th or something, but tell us about the top threes.
Yeah, so Andy, he won again. He's flogging him at the moment. I think he was like in 5th place or something early. And then the two other Bendigo fellas maybe run off the front a bit. Was it Archie and Nath Stowe?
Yeah, from the footage I saw, but I only saw the little recap video that they put out.
Yeah, well, someone told me that anyway. I didn't see it. I was a bit far back for that. He beat Lockie Hurd, who was second in 45:25, and Archie Reid 45:30. So you still coach Archie Reid, Frother, or is he a Melbourne Track Club athlete now?
He's jumping in a bit of the Melbourne Track Club stuff when he's in Melbourne. Still keeping a good eye on him, still chatting to him, but yeah, not right in his program. But that's a great run from Archie. He's been sniffing out a medal for a while now. So to run 45:30, it's a good... well, he is great on the roads and at half marathons, so it doesn't surprise me that he got his first AV medal in a 15k. Well deserved.
Brady coaches him when he runs well.
Yeah, just checking in on him.
Been talking to him heaps the last fortnight, boys, to get that result.
Yeah.
Probably the hardest AV race to medal at as well.
It is the hardest, I agree with you, Moose.
You ever medalled in one of them, Bucks?
Not the 15k,
so,
definitely not. But on that, Julian, where did you come in this race?
Third.
No, I know you came third back then, but like this year.
This year.
We're not worried about glory days here, Moose. We're talking about the current.
I've got the results here. I'll look it up.
30,
Just give me a couple minutes while I scroll
36.
down.
I think I was 36.
Oh, yeah, 36. You were 36, 48, 54. Tell us about team scores, Moose.
No, Bucks is on a roll here. He wants to...
I was just saying your PB is the same result that Andy ran, I noticed. So I was curious if
you could have won
how
it.
you'd have gone if you'd just gone for it and not done a 20k warm-up.
Might have dusted him, I reckon. But never know, I reckon. Never know. Bendigo, they had a pretty good run, I'd say. They had 57 points. That's just beat Box Hill, who had 248 points. You guys did pretty well, Brady.
That's incredible. I checked that as I was marshalling. Like 1st, 3rd, 5th, 9th, 12th, 27th. Some people said it's the lowest score ever recorded for an XCR race.
No, did they really?
That's what they were saying. I don't know, like Matt the Mad Snake Buckle was banging on about that, so I'm not trusting what he said. But yeah, it'd be happy to be pretty close. Usually if you get 100, you win. And they got 57.
Yeah. They go better without you, I reckon.
Imagine if I was there. We would have had, take out the 27 and put in a maybe 10th.
Be a culture thing without you there.
I come 4th in this event last year too.
They all just come together a bit more with the boys.
Teams going.
Hey, can we talk about Ballarat beating Geelong?
They were shocker, didn't they? 308.
Home track. So Ballarat 267. They got all the people in town. They'd have to leave. Of course they're going to go well. They did pretty well though. I'm going to pay them that. They come 3rd, and they'll be stoked about that. The fellas. 4th, don't know. Geelong was 6th. We had Brett Coleman ping a calf at about the 6K mark. I was running next to him, and all of a sudden he was on the sideline. So that was no good. And one bloke had to do the groceries this week, so he couldn't make it down to race.
Such a good team culture. Blokes just do anything for the singlet.
The ladies' race, Gemma Maney, she won. She was 51.29. She beat Jen McCormick 51.50. So Bendigo had 2nd place there. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Melissa Duncan.
It's good to see Gin back. That's Gin Maloney from people, pre-married name.
Yep, and Melissa Duncan was 3rd, 52.34. Teams, South Melbourne won, 89 points. St Stephen's, how come you got good women but no good men, Bucks? They were 96 points. Stop muting us.
No, I'm not on mute. I'm just listening to the content. Look, our women's team is definitely our highlight at the moment. They're definitely pushing on for the premiership. The blokes are 4 years since the glory days, and we're just fighting a relegation battle. But I noticed we got off the bottom of the ladder for the first time in about 4 weeks. So do you have the live ladder there, Brady? Does that mean we might actually avoid relegation?
I don't think they've updated after that round, which is silly. They should update it straight away. But you guys, let me see. Oh no, maybe this is updated. Yes, it was today. No, that was the scores. Give me a second. You guys were in the relegation zone coming into this race, but I think that you've come 7th. You might have got out of it, and Collingwood might be now in the relegation zone. So that's
it's a bit of a sad state for St Stephen's. This is what happens when you spend all your money trying to buy a premiership. What happens the year after? And the year after that?
Moose, they don't like it when you bring that up.
Yeah, I know. It's the facts that matter.
Look, the facts. My club would be unhappy if I didn't say something to that. Considering I've been with the club since about 2013, and I can promise you I've never been paid. Stewie's bought his own membership most years, so I don't think it's quite the
that's the narrative. We hear the narrative.
Yeah.
This, we've seen at local footy, one sponsor comes in, throws their weight around, buys a premiership, and then the club's destroyed for 3 or 4 years after that. You're just in that stage now. Box Hill, they were 3rd, 141 points. Geelong, I think they've secured Division 2 premiership. So you'll see Geelong Pussycats move up into Premier Division next year for the women. So that is exciting.
Did you see they got rolled by Bendigo in Div 3 though?
Oh,
did you see that?
Move on.
Bendigo ladies are coming for you.
You got New South Wales road relays?
Yeah. Bendigo ladies, big shout out, 61. Good on you, ladies. You gave me shit, remember, a couple of years ago when I didn't know what division our ladies team were in? Now I'm the number one fan. Sorry, Croaks, go for it.
All right. Yeah, so New South Wales Road relays were up at Bankstown on the weekend. So that's a 4x4K event. In the women's, it was won by Run Crew, 52 minutes and 42 seconds. They won by, over 3 minutes from the Newcastle Flyers. And then Randwick Botany were third. The three fastest splits for the day were Neve Allen, 12:38. Ainsley Van Graan was second, also 12:38. And Kate Spencer was third in 13:08. In the men's, close tussle between Bankstown and Run Crew. Bankstown got the victory, 46:29 to Run Crew's 46:32. So just 3 seconds there. Sydney Uni were third, about 30 seconds or 20 seconds behind. Fastest splits, Ed Goddard, 11:13. Stefan Music was 11:15. And Aaron Spiesberger Parker was also 11:15.
Any news off the top of your head, Croaks? How's their season looking? Like a Run Crew, or who's winning the season? They got ladders, relegation? They don't do relegation, do they?
No. It's they do have a competition, but I don't think too many people care about it.
3 seconds.
3 seconds, yeah.
Good race, isn't it? Yeah.
So that was, I think, Josh Johnson holding off Benny Saint for the last leg there.
Interesting.
Next up, Abby Caldwell breaks Lyndon Hall's 1,000 metre Australian record, goes from strength to strength. Abby ran 2:34.63 to win the race that was in Bern, Switzerland. Previous record was 2:35.90. Lyndon was in that race. She finished second to Abby in 2:35.12. So those two ladies are absolutely flying coming into the World Championships in a couple of weeks.
Want to go World Junior Games?
Or do you want to just go that Australian announces the team for the upcoming World Champs?
Yeah, we can do that.
So this was today. I wonder how well we pretty much tried to pick the team last week.
Pretty close.
We got it pretty close, didn't we?
Yeah.
I'll start with the men's 800. Pete Bowl, Joseph Deng, Riley McGowan. That's strong. 1500. Stewie, Adam Spencer, and Matthew Ramsden. Matthew Ramsden's got to be one of the luckiest people getting around to get into that team, doesn't he?
Yeah, I reckon. Like, based on what he's sort of done this season, like he was a fair few spots out of the quota. But I guess that's where, people are injured. Some countries aren't sending people even though they're in the quota. So that helps people like Matt who are outside move up into that quota.
And I more meant because Ollie Hoare didn't take his spot. And because Cam Myers. So two people didn't take their spot. And then are you kind of talking about the injuries for like Rory Hunter and Jai and stuff?
No, I'm talking about like because he was outside the quota, that other people from other countries have obviously pulled out for him to move up.
Yep.
Yeah, so just before that, I'm going to ask you, Bucks, a question on this.
Sure.
What do you think of this points deal? Surely, like, as an athlete who suffered the consequences of the system, how do you rate it? Like, do you like it?
Look, I've heard you guys talk about it a bit, and I've heard Croaks is definitely not as much of a fan of it because you'd probably say you prefer just the quickest person to go. Personally, I quite like it because what it does is it encourages racing, and it's the sport trying to say like what we're going to value is racing and competition, not necessarily just time trialing. And I think that there's a bit of a generational thing there, but I think that's sort of a better way to sell narratives, and I think that's really really valuable for the sport. And I also think you can have situations where say the quicker person doesn't necessarily go, but like to talk about like my own example, say in 2021, I was actually the third quickest Aussie who made that steeple team. And Clarkie ran 8:22 and Ed ran 8:19. But if you looked at where I put my three best runs together, I think in Oceanias I beat Clarkie and Max. At Brisbane I beat Ed, Clarkie and Nipper, like I beat everyone. And in Finland I beat Nipper. So like every result that I got in off, I beat another Aussie who I was competing against. So I think you can have quirky things, but I like the way it encourages racing, and it sort of makes people show up at the better races to fight for their spot.
Do you think though, Buck, some of the events, like the amount of additional points you get, are a little bit like too generous? Like for example, like winning an Oceania Marathon in 2:13, plus you add then the Oceania champs to that, is the equivalent of a sub 2:10 marathon.
Well, I mean, on itself, that can sound a bit questionable. But I suppose I'd flip that around to say, isn't it a good thing that means that it makes a lot of the best Aussie marathoners line up and race? I mean, if the outcome is you have to line up and race, isn't that a good thing? Because it encourages you to go to the good races.
Yeah,
and encourages everyone to line up. So I agree. If it's 1 in 2:13, that's not good. But the idea is it's trying to incentivise you all to go there and race and win it in 2:10.
Yeah.
And that's probably why we saw Liam up there and run 2:08. I'll keep going through this though. 5K, Stewie's doubling, so 15 and 5 for Stewie. Morgan McDonald as well, who got in on points. Spoke about him last week, your teammate Buck. So good to see him back on the global scene. And 3K
very clutch.
Yeah,
very clutch.
Very clutch. And then 3K steeplechase, Matthew Clark. The women, men's team's 30, women's team is 37. 800. Kat Bissett, the Australian record holder. Abby Caldwell is going to double, and Ali Sanford, she makes up that 800 team. 1500, Jess Hull. See in brackets here it says self-coach. Lyndon Hall. And Abby Caldwell's going to do the double, so the 8 and the 15. That's where Georgia Griffith last week, Croaks, we were talking about.
Yeah, so just on that 15, so I guess one of two things happened here. Either Georgia sort of withdrew herself, or the selectors just went, you know what, although Georgia's run quicker, we're going to pick Abby because, you know, we think she's, you know, a better chance at the championship. Do you know anything there, Bucks?
I know Georgia went home before the very last couple of races, so I think she made that call. I think it would have been really interesting if Georgia had come out and run something like 4:04 or 4:03 and sort of declared her fitness, because that would have been a really interesting selection decision. Yeah. But as it was, I think because she only ran a season best, it was 4:06, 4:07. It was probably pretty straightforward. But it could have been a really interesting one because she did have a quicker time, but it would have been a very convoluted decision considering, you know, last year and everything that had sort of gone into that.
Yeah.
5K, Jess Hull, so she's doubling like Stewie. Rose Davies, Lauren Ryan, and the marathon. We do have to mention actually the men's marathon. Pat Tiernan, he was on that team, but he's no longer listed on this start list. I guess this team selection today. Not sure if anyone knows anything about that, but the women's marathon: Lisa Waitman, Izzy Bat-Doyle, and Sarah Klein. Good, strong teams all round. Anyone know anything about Pat?
Guess he must be injured.
Bucks, nothing made it onto your desk?
Not about Pat, no.
Moose?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Just pipe up, boys. If anyone's got anything on Pat, slide into my DMs because these three boys have got nothing. World Uni Games, Croaks.
Yeah, so just a couple of quick results here. So in the steeple, Cara Fane Ryan, she got the gold. Georgia Whincup got the bronze. Liam Cashin was 8th in the men's steeple. Jack Lunn was 8th in the men's 800, and Holly Campbell was 9th in the 5,000 metres. So you've added here that Tim Vincent was 23rd in the half marathon in 67.59, and Harrison Bagley 28th in 71.05. And Brady, it was warm.
Yeah, I thought that by the times. I've actually missed the 3K steeplechase women's team as well. For some reason, they were down under the hurdlers. So Amy Cashin, Cara Fane Ryan, and Brielle Urbacher. So there's the three Bucks that we send. You should have known that, Bucks, if I missed your steeplechase teammates there. Why didn't you pipe up earlier?
Oh, I don't want to interrupt your flow.
You're listening, mate? You're listening?
There's so much rolling through sometimes. I don't want to jump in.
It's good to see those three ladies make another team, though. Some youth there.
Well, it's exciting because there was a period when I think we were pretty light in the steeple, and it's one thing me and Clarkie are really proud of is that it's just how many more people are making it now, and while the men's a bit light this year, how full the teams have been the last few years. So it's a real credit to those three girls. And I think Amy Cashin, she only missed the final by about 1 place last year. It'll be very exciting to see what she can do in the championship.
She's been she's my female athlete to watch this year, so expecting big things from Amy.
Who was yours, Moose?
Jess Hull, perhaps?
That's
no.
Peter Ball?
I think so.
Joe Deng. Would have been one of them.
Name anyone else good. Brady, who's yours?
Mine was Caitlin Adams, which I know she's been overseas recently, but Yeah, she's not on that World Champs team, but I hope she's going well.
Brady's was Ollie Hall. Just picks Ollie every year.
I left him off this year after the injury.
He's 32 years old, mate.
All right, let's keep moving. Fitzy's 5. I think you're purple here, Bucks. That's the colour code we're going with. Tell us about the results over there in Adelaide.
I was wondering how these colour-coded things work. So I see you boys are always editing as we go. So Fitzy's 5. Adrian Potter got the win in 14:10. Jacob Cox just behind in 14:19. He was an old steeple rival of mine. And Thomas Elfenbane, third in 14:31. I know Riley Cox, I think, raced as well. I think he paced Izzy, because Izzy Batdwell won the women's in 15:09, which the road 5K, that's a really good run, 15:09. And interesting to see how that translates to a marathon at World Champs coming up. And then Tara Palm, second, 15:54, and Isabel Hume, third in 16:36.
Izzy did a big workout after that as well, I reckon, on her Strava. Remember scrolling past that Sunday afternoon.
Probably just marathon effort for Izzy.
You reckon? Bit of moose about it, Crokes.
A bit of moose.
Well,
Yeah.
Brady, they say, if you're the definition, if you're overtraining, if your training's better than your race, if your training form is better than your race form, by definition, you're overtraining. So we'll probably see in 6 weeks and get an answer to all this.
We'll see. That's it.
You having a crack at Izzy here?
The proof is always in the pudding, Bucks.
No, not. I mean,
You having a crack at the old squad, mate? Just throw
having a-
Molotovs before you tune out tonight.
You, Julian, that's probably the safest person to have a crack at on this.
Left Coast Track Club going to be up and about after hearing this.
My easy comment was based at you as well, Moose.
Yeah, I know it was, boys.
She did 3x4K afterwards. It's a big morning.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge, isn't it? Think about running a super hard 5K. I mean, this would be close to a PB on the road, if it wasn't already. Run your 5K PB, then go do 3x4K.
Off 2 minutes
You reckon
jog.
you could do that? 2 minutes jog, I mean, that's even harder.
And extended cool down. She did 22K total.
But also, I think running that fast over 5K, like when you're pretty close, like you're in marathon training, is like could be encouraging as well. Shows you're fast.
You're fit. Perth Half Marathon and WA champs over there. Bucks, last bit of news from you.
So Matt Smith got the win in 67:52, and Lauren French second in 79:27. Only got the results for the top result in each.
That's how it works. If it's not fast enough, Crokes doesn't put it in. That's his general rule here, Bucks. See how Tim Vincent's results in a different colour? That's because I added it in for my boy.
I was about to pipe up about Tim Vincent because I thought that was a bit rough, but then you came over the top. So
Yeah.
good to see the man still getting some credit.
Been getting bashed on here the last couple of weeks. Got to look after my boy Tim.
I think sometimes running news can just drag on a little bit, so it's hard to know which ones to leave in and which ones to cut.
I'm with you, Crokes. I'm with you, mate. We
Crowd
don't put every
favourite.
fucking
If you're going to do a road too,
bloody everything.
he was at the World Uni Games.
It was
I like how you wait.
Games. Well,
I like how you wait till I
games.
start giving some. You wait till I start giving some news, and then you say we need to cut all this news. So I mean, you just cut this whole segment if you want, boys. I'm quite okay with that.
So,
You also got to remember, Brady, there's a lot of people overseas that just will just switch off as soon as we start going through like a random 5K in Adelaide.
Yeah, we did see a bit of that in the Patreon feedback on the survey last week, which was good. Thanks to all the people that filled out that survey form on Patreon last week. I think we've made a copy of the results from Patreon supporters, and now we're going to open it up to the general public. It's always good to just know what the Patreon supporters think. And
Was
then,
there any call outs you can tell us?
There's going to be I think we have to do a show about it. Some of the stuff in there was hilarious. Some of our listeners who have been with us from the start were really just taking me down memory lane. Some of their memories and stuff, Bucks, for stuff that I'd forgotten actually happened. I was constantly just copy and pasting stuff into our group chat from some of the stuff the listeners. We kind of just had one of the questions in there, have you got any funny stories about how you associate with the show? And there's some really good stuff there. There was a question about who is their favourite male and female distance runner. You can only pick one, and we kind of had a bit of a survey there. And do you want to have a guess who the female is, Bucks? It's pretty close, 33% and 28%. Yeah. This is only Patreon supporters.
Current or
Yeah, current.
Current,
if it's patron supporters, you'd probably say Ellie, wouldn't you?
Yeah, Ellie's the favourite, 33%. Sinead, 28%. That might change when we open to the public because this is a small sample size. And the men, you didn't poll any. Oh, did you poll any votes here?
He probably voted him for himself.
I didn't. I actually missed the memo to vote in this thing, so apologies about that.
Stewie was the crowd favourite. Stewie, 23% of our listeners, their favourite, and Liam Adams second.
Did anyone vote for Julian?
Well, people could add their own ones here, and I'm just looking down. There's a lot of people voting for Toby here, Moose.
Toby?
Andrew Ferguson. Who are these people?
Toby stopped running a while ago.
Yeah, so there was also a fun question there about are you team Kipchoge or Kiptum for the back end of 2023? 52% of our Patreon supporters prefer Kiptum over Kipchoge, 47%. So that was interesting. Anyway, there's heaps of data to unpack in like a full-on episode that I want to do down the track and talk about some of the memories there. Listener question, Croaks, let's just do the top one.
Yeah, let's do it. It's a fun one. Who are your running idols you look up to, past and present? And that comes in from Alan Shields.
Shieldsy, good supporter of the show from Scotland.
Over to you, Bucks.
Yeah.
I was actually looking forward to the second question more than the top one. Past and present. I mean, I'll probably give you a reasonably boring answer on this. I mean, past is definitely Craig, and it's but like it sort of adds an element to that I really enjoy about him coaching me. And I'm being coached by the bloke who when I was 16, 17, was the absolute god of the sport. So it's a really nice way to sort of also like sort of the tail end of my career to get to work with him. That's because at 16, 17, I never would have thought I'd be working with Craig or would have done a lot of things I've done in running. So it's and I think I remember him racing in Beijing and Com Games and all the classics. So that's definitely up there. And I mean, would you like I don't really have a lady like of the past. I mean, I've got huge raps on, not so much an idol, but I've got huge raps on Kat and Lyndon. I spent a lot of time travelling with them this year, and like just sort of just the professionalism, sort of like relentless intensity they bring to us with each day of training, and their mentality is very impressive. I think it's something the girls in my group can really value from sort of getting to see that firsthand.
Who you got, Moose?
Man, I can't even think of anybody. I don't have a running idol.
What, even as when you got into the sport?
But when I got into the sport, I was in my 20s, and so I don't really have a running idol. Like, so I don't like people from other countries. Like, I watch them, but I don't really fanboy them, and I never really found anyone that I connected with as a sort of professional runner at the time that I thought, this bloke's a legend, I'm following him along. So I don't have anybody. I'm just literally nobody.
Well, is there somebody at the moment, a current runner that you sort of admire in terms of the way they go about what they do? Like from the way that they race or the way that they, hold themselves off the track? Like,
yeah, I reckon that's a good question, actually. I like the way Sondre Moen goes about it from Norway. Like, I like the way he trains. I like how, Christian sort of told me a few things about how his mindset is, and he doesn't want to be second rate. He's run 205. He always wants to be that groundbreaker. Like, there's no ceilings for him. That sort of excites me watching that.
Good one. Wasn't expecting that.
What about you, Brady?
Craig Mottram for me as well, Bucks. When I was getting into the sport, it was around that like 2003, 2004 years when he won that World Champs bronze and then the Com Games. I was in the stadium that night. So he was like you used to have footballer posters on your walls. He was like the running version of that because he was just a superstar. I always looked up to Rowan Walker, Moose, when I was like getting into the AV scene, because I kind of enjoyed how he just didn't have an ego. He was just a hard worker, but he still like won Melbourne Marathon and would do good things in like the domestic kind of scene. It just seemed like it was all off hard work, not so much talent. Mona now. Sorry. Go, yep.
No, I was going to say if you're going to take Mottram off me, I'll give you someone else. How's that sound? And you can cut the first bit.
Yeah,
or
no, we don't have to cut it. Yeah.
Leave this entire section rolling. No, there's a Canadian steeplechaser, Matty Hughes, who from like 2011 to Tokyo made every single championship final and came sixth at Tokyo Olympics. And he he was like 8'11" guy, 13'13", 337. He's someone who, like a lot of the guys who are my compatriots who race, who are European, look up to as someone who really got everything out of himself across his whole career. And like the reason I really remember him is because I remember being in the stadium at Com Games, watching him come fourth in 2018, and he lost the medal by a bee's dick. And then 18 months later, I raced him in Zagreb, which in a race he won, and I qualified for world champs that day, which was really cool for me. Sort of 18 months I've gone from watching the guy in the stadium to racing him. So
yeah, that's cool.
He was always someone in the steeple that I always looked up to.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I think Mona as well. Like, I look up to him in a way how he's impacted the running community with his longevity, and he's like got his finger in so many different pies with different events and commentary and things like that. I think he's taken Australia forward in his involvement in the sport. And my other ones, like probably current, like this is like low key kind of grassroots stuff, but like Andy, the way he's a world class runner in a way, 2:10 marathoner, but he's still the guy that organises the bus for the Bendigo Bats and like does the admin, organising hoodies and stuff like that. Like, he could be just the absolute king of that team and let the peasants kind of do all those shit kicker jobs, but he's kind of just the man on the ground and kind of does those things. So yeah, that's a bit of a different people for different reasons, I suppose, for me. You got Croaks?
Well, it's a bit like Moose in that when I started running relatively late, where you sort of past having idols. And so if I was thinking back to like idols when I was sort of early in high school, it was more like I'd watch the surf lifesaving and I'd have a favourite athlete in the surf lifesaving, or the St George Bank triathlon series was on TV. So you'd watch all that sort of stuff and you'd be attracted to a particular athlete. And so I had athletes that I looked up to in those sports and swimming as a kid, but not so much running because I didn't really get into it till I was 20. And then probably the first athlete I took notice of was probably Andrew Lloyd, mainly because back in 1990 he won the Commonwealth Games gold medal, and like Wide World of Sports, or Sports Sunday I think it was called back then, used to run these competitions about which is the best moment in the last year or whatever, and it was him finishing the 5K. So I don't really have one from the past. Current would be probably Stewie, just in terms of he leaves it out there every single race, often makes the race, doesn't care what anybody else does in the race, just focuses purely on himself, and a great guy off the track as well. So, in terms of current, probably Stewie.
Well spoken, isn't he?
Yeah. But in terms of even now, if you told me when I was getting into running, I heard of Mona, heard of Deke, but over the last 20 odd years, the amount of Olympians or world championship Aussie representatives that I've been able to actually meet and know on a personal level, that's sort of a bit of a pinch me sort of moment, which I think is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, you just got to start a podcast, then you get to talk to them. Yeah. Moose on the loose. We've been going deep training talk the last couple of weeks, Moose, but I'd love if you just could tee off on something this week.
Go the bottom one there, Moose. I like that one.
Yeah, all right, I will. So this has been going on, I reckon. I reckon Sinead and Ali complain about this all the time. They complain about when they're in a race with men, how the men sometimes sit on them in the race and get a what do you call it, slipstream, so they don't have to face the elements. And they always get pissed off. They're like, it's really shit how the men do that, and they should be in front of us. And then on the weekend, Bree said the same thing. She's like, oh, these men were, when we got to the wind, I felt like they all went behind me. And I thought, yeah, well, why not? You're a human. They're a human. You're in a human race. Why should it fucking matter if you're a woman and they're a man? Do they get pissed off at you if you tuck in behind them? If we want to be all for equality now, how can you get upset if the men who might not be as fast as the woman or as strong at that point, tuck in for a little ride behind. Like, I think that's bullshit of the women to complain about that. What do you reckon?
I like it, Moose. Yeah, like the guys that the women are running with are the same sort of level of athlete.
Exactly.
They're out there just doing their best.
At the end of the day, like, Brie might have beaten the guy tucking in by a minute.
Yeah,
So
I reckon
why
that happens. Yeah, and I reckon that would be the more common result is that the guys that are sitting on the girls aren't there at the end of the race. They've fallen off.
Yeah, I'd say they would get their pacing wrong more than the women, because there's a bit more maybe ego, testosterone at the start line. So, yeah, I say shut up, women. Just get back into the pack. Just be another member of the pack. Don't play poor me the woman who has to run into the wind. Like, you'll get your chance to sit behind just like the men do.
I like it. The old moose on the loose is back.
I'm thinking like...
Will Ellie get a right to reply to this, or are we just...
Oh, fuck it. I've had enough of that woman. I know who's fucking written into this podcast. Don't worry. I know who's been in Croaks' DMs about this. I've had enough.
Well,
you know what?
If Faith Kipyegon was in a track 5K and I'm trying to hang on to her, would that be looked down upon?
No, it shouldn't be.
Like, should it be like Brady shouldn't be sitting on Faith Kipyegon? He's a man, he should be doing some work, even though she's going to smoke me over a 5K?
No, it shouldn't be looked down upon.
Well, this is a bit topical, Moose. Like, are you gonna sit on the lead woman in Sydney?
I reckon be in front of them, mate.
Hey, who's the pacer? You're bringing your own pacemaker for 30k at 3:15.
Oh, I got
that?
someone lined up.
There can't be many people in Australia who can do that.
Flying him in.
Yeah, right. What about in this group chat, Croaks, with Jimmy, the organiser? He's like, Moose just throws all these demands out there like he's Tamarat Tola.
I fucking asked for nothing.
Yeah, asked for heaps of shit. I'm like, overstepped your welcome big time.
Yeah.
No way.
I feel sorry for Jimmy.
I've been paying flights, accommodation. Fucking expensive weekend up there. Paying for a pacer to come.
Shoe company's not flying you up to make some like miniature shoes?
These ASICs actually race. I could probably hit them up. Actually, I've got some emailing to do after this.
Let us know what you think about that Moose on the loose. What's coming up? Bucks, what are you doing? You coming home?
I've actually declined Craig calling me twice while I've been on this chat. So
no.
I'll probably find out.
Don't tell me you were talking to Croaks.
Yeah.
No, it was quite funny. Like it was the middle of the idol segment as I'm just declining it like multiple times.
Hey, Bucks. Sorry, Bucks.
Pretty good today. So you go, bro. Sorry.
Oh, just when you're chatting to Craig, can you just say you got off the Inside Running podcast and say Croaks asked me some really, really good questions tonight? Thanks.
I think we all agree, Croaks, it was a shit question, mate.
Oh, hey, hang on. In my defence, he then, after I asked the question...
Why are you trying to relitigate this with me? I mean, surely he's the man.
No. I'm just saying, this is to Moose. He then spent the next 20 minutes talking about his coaching philosophy.
Look, you put him on the spot.
I think it relaxed him. Then we got him going.
Sorry, Bucks, carry on.
Got him going. It's not hard to do. I've lost my train of thought here.
Just tell us what's happening in your life.
I ran 8K this morning. I actually felt pretty good. So I'm inclined to push on and sort of do a modified program for a couple of weeks and see how it goes. Because I mean, I'm staying over here for free, and my flight home was booked for after Budapest. So I mean, I'm not in any rush to go home, and I mean, I get the impression it's probably a lot nicer to be up here than it is in Melbourne right now, just because it's summer. So I'll take my time. I'll make a call. It's probably good you had me on this week. At least I did do some running. It's possible I'll have done no running next week, just because training. But we'll make a call after this.
Give it 3 weeks. Come back September. Weather's getting good.
Well, it's
footy finals.
I mean, the thing is, though, if I'm going to stop, I should just stop, and so it means I'm running again, mid-October. And what I don't want to do is sort of do a halfway house and sort of limp along, not race, and still need to take the same break. So if I decide to race, I need to actually be able to do some decent training. Because, Diamond League steeples, they go out in about 2:40, which is awful. And then you just progressively die. So, you can't go into those half-baked. I went into Doha a year ago when I wasn't ready, and the result reflected that. So it's I'd like to make sure if I front up, I can really race well. And I've raced well the last few races, so I'd be keen to keep that going.
Hey, before we do finish up and ask the other boys what they got going on, I'm not sure if this episode might have some reads on it, but they've made you available for tonight, and I think there's a big announcement. I think Athletics Victoria have kind of done a soft launch that you guys are going to be sponsoring like Zatopek, making it like the on-track night what we've seen over in different parts of in the world.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, I'll let them make the specific announcements about Zatopek, but I'm happy to talk about it, like a few of the other on-track nights I've been to, because they're a really exciting concept, and they're really trying to bring sort of a bit of flair and enthusiasm back. And I mean, it's just exciting to see a brand that's trying new things. And I mean, you have food trucks and beer tents and sort of crowd engagement. In Sound Running, they had a concert between track meets, and they're just trying a range of new things, but with wave lights and the like. So it's I don't think they've released the schedule yet or the participants, but I think it'll be the traditional things at Zatopek will probably remain. I know that the 10Ks and the 3Ks will, but the rest are still being worked out. But it'll be a very exciting thing to see, and having been to all the ones overseas, I'm quite excited by one happening in Melbourne, particularly if I get the chance to race there.
Sorry, Brady, are there events for the general public on these track nights?
Were they graded 10Ks?
Yes. So, of the ones I've been to, there was a heap of graded races. So in Paris, there was, I think, up to D or E races. In Vienna, it was the same thing. Sound Running, there weren't as many grades, but there was I think 2 or 3 heats per event. And obviously the night of the 10K PBs, I think that's under the umbrella as well, and that's got a truckload of graded races. Wow, so I can't. Awesome, I'm overseas, so I can't speak to how it's being put together for Melbourne. But I can say, having been at a range of other ones, that it's been very exciting, and it's they're trying new things, and I've really enjoyed those meets.
They had it in the promo video. They had like a tattoo gun, like you get tattoos at one of them. Did you see that?
Yeah, there'll be. I didn't see that, but I mean, at some of the ones I've gone to, you can get, you can make your own T-shirt with all sort of bits of not stick-on tattoos, but stick-on symbolism on it, and there's been a lot of different things. So it's really exciting.
No, this was a legit tattoo. It's like the needle, like a tattoo gun.
I mean, well, if you're into that on the day, that could pre-race, post warm-up.
I like it. What's going up, Croaks? What are you doing? City of Surf, Sunshine Coast is coming. Is City of Surf televised, Sunshine Coast is Australian half marathon champs.
Yeah, I doubt City of Surf will be televised. It's not the good old days anymore.
Do you know who's racing it?
No.
I don't know if I'm just a bit separated down here in Victoria. But
I think Leanne might be.
It's losing credibility, that event.
I thought Leanne was doing Sunny Coast Half.
Is Ali doing that, Moose?
She's doing Sunny Coast Half, yeah.
Oh.
Sinead?
I don't know.
Lisa?
Look, Jen.
We make it very hard to follow the sport when it's the Monday and you don't know who's racing this coming weekend. Look, we don't no fields for Sunshine Coast, no fields for City to Surf. 2 huge races on the Australian calendar.
The problem is, though, City to Surf, the focus there is more just the mass participation.
They still have an elite start zone.
They do.
You
but
could
in terms
publish
of
that on a little blog on your website somewhere.
But the organisers, their focus is on the getting 80,000 people there.
That changed a while ago.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about the results there next week. You doing anything, Croaks?
No. Hopefully getting an email about surgery because I'm in limbo now, which it's not having anything to aim for is really hard. So depending on how long it takes, I'll probably get back into some very light jogging at some point if I don't hear anything at all. Can't sit on the couch forever.
Yeah. Well, if we don't hear from you before, good luck. Moose, what are you doing between now and next week?
I'm moving house next weekend.
Up the hill.
So that'll be rough. Yep.
Got some
hosting Road to Berlin too this week, Moose.
Oh, yeah. Road to Berlin. So, I reckon I'll get a bit of an easier ride on that show this week. I get to be the guy who hammers them.
All right, here, Paddy will fire back. Rob's got a bit of that Scottish heritage. He could fire back if you go him.
Paddy's on a full regression, isn't he? Jeez, I'd be worried about Paddy if I were you in your Bendigo Bats.
He come 12th or 10th in an AV race. What are you talking about?
reckon
He's
he came
fit.
like 18th or something.
Nah, we only had one guy outside the top 12. He's in the middle of a marathon block, mate. It's just heavy.
Yeah. We'll chat. Don't worry.
Work out heavy.
I'll ask him.
Yeah, he'll have a good answer for you. Rightio, Bucks, thanks again to On for making you available tonight. Probably told you it was going to be a 30, 40-minute chat. We're going for an hour and 45 minutes. So we appreciate that you gave up a bit of your Switzerland day
Mate,
for
the
us.
bloke's doing nothing. He's sitting in a fucking room in St. Moritz.
Bucks will be working
Ending
hard.
on a sledge sounds excellent. But no, gents, I'm a long time listener, and I always do enjoy the podcast. So thank you for having me. It's been good to see behind the scenes and be a part of it live. So I really enjoyed it. Thank
Our
you.
pleasure, Bucks. More professional or
Mate.
less professional than you thought?
I enjoyed the run sheet being updated as we spoke, and seeing how it works. But it's a very well-oiled machine. I mean, after 5 years you've been going for now, and
Yeah,
I've been around for most of it. So it's good to see.
All right, mate.
It's sort of the right line, so it's good to see.
It's
Cheers,
good. Safe travels, mate. See you guys.
See-
Special thanks to On for sponsoring this episode of the Inside Running Podcast. Cushioning or performance? Why not take both? The Cloud Stratus 3 evolves a legend with an updated speedboard and even softer cushioning and innovative new design features, all added to double Cloud Tech cushioning to double the comfort without slowing you down. Visit on.com or your specialty running retail store today to grab your pair.